My history with cycling goes pretty far back, around 42 years. I grew up in the South. I grew up in Tennessee and in Georgia. For the first 16 years of my life, lived in edge of suburbia conditions where usually at the end of the road where I lived there was several hundred acres of woods. So early on, my bicycling experience was me and my friends coming home from school and making paths through the woods and then riding our BMX bikes through there. When I was 16, we moved to a much more urban location with asphalt and buildings and not a lot of woods and definitely no bicycle paths for BMX. And I discovered road cycling. Now, my father is ex-military and retired, and I had a military dependent card, and just a few miles down the road from where I lived there was a huge military base, an airfield, and there was a 30-mile perimeter road, and I'd see guys riding bicycles all the time on that perimeter road. So I thought, hey, I've got a military pass, I can get onto base, I'll ride my bicycle down to the base and I'll hook up with some of these guys and ride with them and just see. And that's when I really was exposed to cycling as a sport. Many of those young military guys had spent time in Europe, and they had come back with really amazing bicycles. And that was when I found that a bicycle could be much more than just a tool or a utilitarian instrument. It could be a work of art. And I fell in love with bicycles like DeRosa and Pinarello and Colnago and Bianchi, and all these great European brands that I probably would have never been exposed to if I hadn't been lucky enough at that point to live near a military base where there was just an awful lot of cyclists. Cycling for me has always represented freedom. It's always represented an opportunity to explore and to go. So I guess as a child and as a teenager, it helped stave boredom by giving me a mechanism to explore the world around me and do it on my terms. So cycling has always been really important. My love affair with these things is not just I enjoy riding them. I love tweaking them, working on them, playing with them, modifying them, because speed is ultimately what I've found that I love. Asphalt and going really fast on a bicycle. So over the years I've gone from road bikes to time trial bikes to hybrid versions of road bikes that have aero features and aero components to straight out aero road bikes. Cycling can be a lifestyle. It can definitely be it can be a daily activity that you kind of build your life around. And so I found that cycling it was something that I thoroughly enjoyed, but it also served the purpose of keeping me healthy, keeping me fit. When I was 36 years old, I found myself living in Southern California in an area that has an enormous amount of cycle-friendly paths and trails, and I was attending college again, and had about a 15-mile ride to my school. And so every day I was riding 30 miles. I was riding to school and back, doing that 3, 4, sometimes 5 days a week. Fast forward a few years, and at that point I'm riding pretty much 6-7 days a week, riding between 150 and 200 miles a week. Feel great. Can still fit into clothes that I could wear in high school. So in my mid-40s thinking, hey, I'm doing pretty good here. And so I go for a daily bike ride, and I come back and I have a massive heart attack. Surprise to me, surprise to my doctors. Absolutely not your typical candidate for a Widowmaker heart attack at that. But I was. The single largest determining factor for heart disease is genetics. And I come from a family with an awful lot of significant cardiovascular history where that's concerned. Grandparents, uncles, father, pretty much everybody dies young by today's standards from heart disease. I thought I was doing something to beat that, that family curse. And oddly, not in the way that I thought I was, I actually was. I had figured that I would never have a heart attack, I would never have these kind of issues. And I was wrong. What I found was that the cycling lifestyle that I'd adopted since I was a teen actually prepared me for survival and recovery. Through years and years and years of having coronary artery disease and a growing smaller left anterior descending coronary artery, LAD, which feeds 65% of the blood to your heart, my right coronary artery, which was clear, had started growing branches around to the left because my left side just wasn't getting enough oxygen, because every day I was getting on a bicycle and I was really pushing myself. So in an odd way, I survived something that 9 out of 10 people don't survive. And then the other 10% typically always have to deal with some sort of permanent residual heart damage. And I avoided both of these things. As my heart surgeon said, I didn't just dodge a bullet, I dodged a missile while running through a minefield. Then he told me to play the lottery, which I did, and I didn't win, but I'm pretty content to be here and be healthy. So I won the lottery anyway. So I decided after my heart attack and after finding that I wasn't going to be living with permanent heart damage, as I had been pretty much instructed from my first recovery hours, that just be prepared, your life is going to change, and it's going to change dramatically. When the test showed that that wasn't going to be the case, and my doctors were astounded and I was astounded, I decided, this is a real opportunity for me to take something that I've had a lifelong love affair with and share this information with other people, and hopefully help someone else avoid before they got to the heart attack stage, because there were signs that I had some cardiovascular issues, but they were also masked by my lifestyle and my fitness level and my physical condition. So knowing what I know now, I can look back and say, okay, well, yeah, this was kind of a sign that something was coming and I needed to be a little bit more diligent. And I'm going to share that information with as many people as I can, because if I can help one person avoid what I've been through, then everything that I've been through has been worth it. So I started an organization called Summit4CAD. And through Summit4CAD, I decided that the best way for me to bring attention to my story and the condition that I still live with, that I've had most of my life, and then how I was able to avoid what most people are not able to avoid, which is death or permanent heart damage because of cycling. That the best way for me to do that is to continue to ride, and to do it in a way that I'm sharing that information with as many people as want to see what I'm doing. So on the first anniversary of my heart attack, which will be October 14th of 2017, just a couple of months from now, I will be riding one of the most difficult climb courses in the world, which is Mount Haleakala in Hawaii. It starts at sea level and goes 10,000 feet up for 36 miles. So I'm going to conquer that mountain on the 1-year anniversary of what should have been my death, or at best, a complete change of lifestyle for me, and it wasn't. And so I want to share that.